ready to go. 2 classes are up. Kids are up. Books up.
Good morning and welcome to
B1 Vacuums.
Jeannie and Patrick's banter of the day.
So,
Not all
radiation-
superheroes wear capes, but Jeannie does.
I was going to say radiation treatment number
How many are there? 25?
28. I just
So
asked.
so she is
3 down.
She is down 25 remaining.
Yeah, 25 remaining. Okay, so as I was laying there, I was just thinking about quilting through the season. This is what I was thinking about. I was laying there with my hands over here, and I was thinking about quilting through the season. So last night when I got home, I cut my batting, and maybe you could not like sit like that. Like he's totally like spread out. Did you see him like laying back? And okay, so I was thinking about quilting through the seasons because I cut the batting and now I'm ready to sort. And then I was thinking about, should we cut, you know I'm scan and cut resistant. But
She's technology resistant.
I'm technology resistant, but I'm in my mind I want to do it so bad. But I go, I don't want to learn, and why teach this old dog new tricks? But anyways, so I was just talking with Michelle because I want to cut my applique pieces because everything's cut and ready to go. Can I just like put it on the mat? And so Michelle was saying, why don't we, is it just with the Luminaire and the Stellar and those? Like, she's like, we can just forego. I know a lot of you know this because there's some of you that are already using the scan and cut to cut everything. But I was thinking that Michelle, like, and I told her, I was talking with Michelle, I was like, maybe we could just live feed this because I'm not opposed to them seeing the process of us talking it through and like the different options and what might work best. Because I did do a video and somebody was telling me that they keep their scan and cut right next to their machine as they're doing it, and then they just put in the pieces that they need for that one, cut it really fast, and then they're ready to go. I would like to do it, and I was like, maybe that's like the better way to do it because then you're not as confused and we're not sorting all these pieces and we're not doing, and maybe like I would do that. Like maybe, because as I get older, my hands are more sore. Like I wake up, nobody told me this was going to happen. My mom never complained about anything, so I didn't know.
Why didn't you get that trait? What the heck?
Patrick! I do complain. I was like, the other day, I was like,
Me?
why am I so sore when I get up? I'm like, is this, I read an article because there's so much information out there. I'm like, there is something I read about, like, is this too much information? Like menopause and then your joints and then your hormones. I'm like, is that what this is? That I'm going through all of this?
Weren't you talking to me about how you wanted to start lifting weights?
No. I was talking about how I should. I do not want to. But how I've just, you hear it's so important for
You should
women
start climbing
especially.
with me. You should go to the gym
No.
and climb.
That's going to give me bunions. Patrick scared the bejesus out of me yesterday. He's like, "You got a bunion."
I was like, is that a bunion?
And I'm like, oh, great. On top of everything else. Now I have a bunion. Now they're going to have to operate. And then I looked at my feet later and was like, they're totally fine. But it's...
You have one toe that's like a little...
What? Stop.
What? I'm not... Nobody's making fun.
No, but anyhow. So, I'm sure climbing shoes are the worst things for a bunion.
I don't wear uncomfortable climbing shoes anymore.
No, I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Like 6 years ago or something, I started developing these really weird calluses on my feet. And I was like, I'm too old to like put these
super
foot
tight.
binding shoes on,
They are
like hobbling around like a
what the
Japanese
ladies
lady
could bind
from the
their feet.
1600s. And so I bought all new climbing shoes, and they are all like
Comfortable?
yeah, super comfortable. And do I feel like performance is affected? I don't climb that hard anymore, so I'd rather be comfortable. I don't even take my shoes off at belays anymore.
Wow, I didn't even.
I
know
had
that.
a pair of shoes I wore socks with.
What? You can do that?
Yeah.
That to me would be like sewing with shoes on. How can you climb with that with socks on? You know how I think most of you
Sewing
like to
with shoes on?
Yeah, most people prefer to sew barefoot or like with a sock. Or
Is that
something.
true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that true? How
No,
many of you sew
don't-
with shoes on?
No, people don't sew with shoes on.
I don't know if I buy that.
So I think
I need to
sewing
post
with
this to
or
Facebook.
climbing with socks on would be like so you just can't feel everything as well.
Well, so what was crazy is I totally thought that was the case.
Does everyone climb
And
with socks on now?
a lot of people climb with socks on. So I was like, I was just really like amazed by how much like pain is a factor in climbing.
Yes,
And like,
that's why I don't want to do it.
and I just got to the point where I was like, oh, I can actually climb when I wear comfortable shoes longer, better. So, shareable link. Live stream here. I think they're all answering if they're like, let's see.
I bet most people. Oh, Margaret sews with her shoe on.
Look,
No shoes, barefoot.
wear shoes, no shoes, shoes
Oh,
on,
my shoes are
off.
on.
I wear shoes. Yeah, see, it's way more.
No, I bet it's like 80-20.
Yeah, how many of you that sew barefoot have gotten a needle in the foot?
What?
I don't want to walk around and every
What
time
do
I
you
go
think
into
we're-
your sewing room, I'm like, am I gonna?
There's no needles on the floor. Ever.
I've picked pins up, like those flower head pins
when?
and stuff.
Maybe once in like
It's happened. I'm not saying it happens
lies.
all the time.
Lies.
These
That's a
aren't-
fabrication.
These aren't lies. I'm like, this is.
I don't even
You're afraid of like
even
you're
use flower
you're
head
afraid of
pins.
wolves, and we don't even have wolves here. I'm allowed to be afraid of pins in your sewing
Yeah,
room.
and I don't even use pins because pins to me it's like this, and then they're stabbing me. No matter what, if there's one pin in a whole project, that pin is gonna end up in my finger. It's like a heat-seeking missile into my finger. A flesh-seeking pin into my finger. Yeah, I don't use them. I use Wonder Clips, although I do use a pin every once in a
There
while.
are flower head pins in the house. There's definitely flower
In
head
the
pins.
pin cushion, not on the ground. Don't believe him. We had this talk yesterday. Do you remember we had a talk yesterday?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that this is
We
my
had a
fear.
talk.
This could be my irrational fear.
Yeah, but
It's my one irrational fear.
it's one irrational fear. So, anyways, Michelle and I was thinking about it. Maybe I will. I'll get section 1 because I want to be ready to stitch out. And I don't know if I'm going to be filler blocks. Might be what we do on Monday. Filler blocks, and then part of section 1, and then section 1 for homework. And tomorrow, if we have time, maybe we'll live feed like. Oh, I think Michelle has a class. Does she have a class, or do I have a class? All right. Oh, so maybe in the afternoon though, because I packed up all my stuff to bring to the store, so Michelle and I could talk about it, but it's not here. So I must have packed it up and then just left it.
Or is it in the back of the car or something? I didn't bring
No, I looked
anything
in the
out
back
of
of
your
the car.
store today.
I looked.
Or out of your room today.
So if you want to cut, maybe we could do that together. Yeah, I don't like my feet being cold either. Jen, I don't have pins on my floor either. All right. Do your dogs mess with your... So, Momo, when he was a puppy, would scare the living daylights out of me.
You'd look at him, and all of a sudden he'd be walking around with a pin.
He would
something.
walk at the store a lot of times when I'm demoing or doing stuff. I'll take a pin and I'll just stick it into, I don't know, there's mats under the machines, or there's fabric where the sergers are, and I would just take the pin and stick it in there. Well, Momo would go over and he would grab the pin, or he'd pull it in my room. He'd pull him out of the pin cushion, and then you'd look and he'd be standing there with a pin in his mouth. And you don't want to chase a dog because you don't want him to think this is fun, but you're like, how am I gonna get that back before he swallows it?
How scary was Poppy's situation last night?
Poppy
like, that was the
choked.
first time I've ever seen a dog choke.
Like choke
she
and not be
choked, like she couldn't make a sound, she couldn't breathe, and she started to panic. Like when I walked over to try to maybe help her, she started to like try to run away, and then she finally got a piece of a dental chew.
She finally got it
down, but then she was obviously uncomfortable for a little while too.
Yeah, because Kai used to choke all the time. And I learned, like when he was a baby, I could just pick him up by his stomach and his feet, and I would do this. He choked all the time.
That kid was a choker.
Yeah. So I was like, how am I going to do that with Poppy? She's 45 pounds. Like, that's a lot of dog. So, but I was going to tell you to pick her up, and like, I think that would clear it too.
My big concern was like, that was like a big piece of a chew, and like, it's not a little piece of food. Like I was like getting ready to like reach in and grab it, but
I sew with no shoes.
I am Mr. Barefoot guy. Like I'm barefoot in my house all summer, like even around the house. Like I walk around outside.
I don't like it. My feet get cold. I do not like my feet touching
I like my
a cold
feet
floor.
being rough. I like my feet being tough because it's a climbing
Why don't
thing.
you like mine being rough?
Well, because it's like my gentle exfoliation on my legs.
Patrick's like, give me
night.
one of those scratchy, exfoliating foot rubs, back rubs with your feet. That's what he says to me because my feet are so rough. He says, give me one of those exfoliating, because it's like a loofah.
Well, remember the kids? The kids were like, one time, Jeannie said something like she had like touched the kids with her feet, and the kids were like, who was it, Violet or Kai? Kai was like, don't touch me with your feet, and Mom's like, you don't love me? And he's like, no, your feet are scratchy.
That doesn't sound very princess-like.
Well, what is it? Less princess-like than your scratchy exfoliating back rubs.
Yeah, I struggle. The struggle is real. Okay. Yeah, we did need an emergency room. You had an emergency room visit. Wow, it's so scary, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, Michelle's class is up.
Is it you're looking for the sample?
Yeah. Okay, this is up. And I just ordered the books. So if you're ordering the books online, they'll be here, but I just ordered them. So, you know what's funny is we had this book and Michelle and I were looking at it, and we were like, do Scan and Cut and IQ Designer. And then I think it's Wander Lane. So this is Wander Lane. It's like Art to Heart or something like this. And she's doing a Scan and Cut. This is Scan and Cut and IQ Designer, isn't it? How are they cutting?
On the Scan and Cut.
Oh, got it. Okay. This is IQ Designer. So it's going to do placement line. Oh, Patrick, here, I'll put it here. Placement line. And then
care.
You put down you were like.
I could not
daydreaming?
look interested. I'm like.
Okay, so this is IQ Designer. And this is a traditional, like, applique machine, like, blanket stitch or however you want to do it, not embroidery design. And Michelle is going to show you how to take it into IQ Designer, create placement lines. You're going to do tack down lines. You're going to trim. You're going to be doing satin stitches. She's going to show you how to adjust the size of your satin stitch, because I don't know if you know this, but when you go into IQ Designer, it's not like you get one size. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can make it further apart, you can make it closer together. So there's lots of things. And what I love about IQ Designer is if you are not a software person, which I am not, but I'm going to take Michelle's Software 101 someday when I'm like not working so much. So if you haven't, what? If you haven't been able to become a software expert, you can do this in IQ Designer, which I love it. I love that you can do it there. So you're going to be doing satin stitch with the bean stitch down the middle, blanket stitch. I mean, look how cute this is. And adding all the stippling, creating line properties. I don't think we have fill properties because this isn't that kind of project. And we kitted it. So, and this is the other thing. Michelle did the first one, and we were both like, it's so cute, but it just wasn't big enough for us. In this case, bigger is better. So, what are you doing, Patrick? Patrick, look interested. Or here, I'll cover you over. So, bigger is better. So, bringing in the image, making it bigger, working with that design. So, the class is up. I think there's 2 sessions of it right now, and we will add a third if we need to add this. What do you need in order to take this class? You need a machine that has IQ Designer or a Design Center. Design Center, which is on the Brother version, IQ Designer, which is on the Baby Lock version. And so now you don't have to sit there and do all the hand applique. You can have your machine do it for you.
So you've been talking IQ Designer the whole time. It's Design Center. So it is Design Center.
Design Center.
Debbie. And so people ask machines. These are all IQ or Design Center machines. So this would be Destiny, Dream Machine, Stellar, Altair, Meridian. Is there sewing involved though?
What do you mean?
Like, do you,
no, this
like
is
it's all embroidery.
You can
it's all
have
on the hoop.
embroidery.
So
only.
Altair, Meridian, Luminaire, or Solaris.
What'd you say? And guess what? Michelle's also gonna do, I think this is gonna be Software 201. So she's gonna do this as a software class 2 where you can convert it. Yeah, doesn't that sound amazing? So for those of you that are software fiends, that you're like, give me more, I wanna learn more, she's gonna put something together for that, for you. That would be her as a contractor.
So I wanna maybe this is just me repeating, maybe this is me clarifying my thoughts, because I feel like I've had several of these conversations as people have called to kind of say, I need to figure out what I'm going to do regarding a new machine. So, and I think I've said most of this already, but maybe it hasn't been tremendously concise. But, you know, there is a new machine coming in August. You know, I keep saying September because it's normally like late August or September when the machines actually arrive and we can start delivering product to consumers. We haven't heard a ton about the new machine, and quite frankly, we'll hear dribs and drabs between now and September. So I don't have anything to tell you about the new machine other than there will be a hook. And what I mean by that is there will be a piece of technology in that machine that doesn't exist with the Luminaire, the Solaris. So for those of you that are at that point where you're evaluating your new machines, I'll try to make this like in a nutshell type thought process. There's a new machine coming in August. When that new machine arrives, there will be used Solarises and Luminaires that are available.
Like mine.
P.S. By the way, there's a used
Michelle's.
Solaris that will be available as soon as next week. So if anybody is kind of evaluating this stuff and like hardcore values, really what you're looking for, reach out about the used Solaris. But if you're somebody that's been looking at these new machines and kind of sitting on the sidelines for a long time, and you're thinking about the money aspect of it, the only thing I can tell you about the new machine, and we haven't seen the price yet, is I expect it to be more expensive. And I said something about this to my rep when I talked to him about the new machine on Sunday. And he essentially said, that's a good bet. So that's really one of the few things that's been more or less confirmed. Our price on the Luminaire is fantastic right now.
How many have we sold this week?
6.
Yeah, 6. And remember, they told us there were only 80.
Well, so yesterday he said there were 70 left. So
but we don't know.
But what I don't want to do is tell you there's only 70. We're being told there are 70 left, and that's it. And that when the 70 are gone, they're gone. The last time this happened, they told us that. And then around August, they were like, back by popular demand, we're doing 2 more runs. And we had the Dream Machine, not the Destiny, but the Dream Machine for the next 18 months. So that said with that caveat. But if you're somebody who's basically looked at this and you've said, the Luminaire and the Solaris are enough, and that's what I want, reach out now because our price is great. We can get them for you, and it's a great time to do it. And I can't promise you that they'll be available beyond the introduction of the new machine. Can you sell the used Lumi online? I can sell used Solarises online, no problem. I can sell used Lumi 1 and Lumi 2 and potentially XP3s as long as they are not on the price list.
Yeah.
So it depends on if the new ones are still available. So
that's a maybe.
So I'm just talking to those of you who are like, I don't know what to do about the new machine. I don't know what to do about the Luminaire. Like, so if you're waiting, used machines will be available. I'll have that used Solaris next week. If there's anybody that's like, I've had people reach out and go, I want to use Solaris or a used XP. When are you going to have them? I'm going to have one next week. You know, that is said for the people that won't suffer from FOMO when the new machine hits and is incredible. Because I will promise you the new machine will be incredible. So, and that's just because I have had a lot of those phone calls with people going, I don't know what to do. This is what I'm saying to everybody. Like, if you feel like I definitely will not get the new machine because the price point's going to be a barrier, then the new XP at the price at which we're getting them is pretty desirable.
The Luminaire is fantastic. And I feel like
the Solaris too. Like, listen, I always feel
Solaris,
bad that
yes.
we exclude our baby lock folks. The Solaris is the same machine.
Yes.
I am telling anybody that's looking at this stuff, for your next machine, like if you're evaluating whatever we don't even know what the new machine's going to be called for either brand, but I would tell anybody looking at either brand, you want the brother. You want to be part of the My Connection universe.
Just because it gives you options.
It just gives you that option. And I've had a lot, like some of the Solarises that are coming in on trade on these XPs are people that are like, I have the printer and I have the scan and cut, and I just want my machines to communicate. So yeah, like I said, you know, it's it is a time now. I have a little bit of FOMO regarding the luminaires, because if they really do not produce more luminaires, we want to make sure that we can get everybody taken care of.
So Teresa's asking, when you take a class, do you get printed instructions also? Most
No.
of the time, no, because I mean, if we have like a 3-hour class, that's
way
a
too
lot
many printed
of
instructions.
Yeah.
You do get the video to watch in perpetuity. So that's better than printed instructions.
You know, and you can pause and
Rewind, go back.
rewind, watch it, and have that video. And we're not. I've done classes before where they give you the video for like a month, and you know how busy life is. Like I have it for a month, and I'm like, I never got a chance to watch it. So that's always frustrating to me. That I mean, as long as YouTube lets us leave it up there, you'll have that video forever. But it's just, we don't have enough hours in the day to sit there and create printed instructions for everything, unfortunately. There are like some of the classes I'll do like a rough draft of like printed instructions to kind of walk you through. So for people that have taken the like the Stitch Delight class with me, I did put like step by step just to like prompt you in case, you know, you step away from that project and then you come back to it. So I mean,
And
if
she's
it's,
got the spreadsheets too.
yeah, if it's not too complicated, sometimes we'll put together something, but a lot of times we just don't have the time to do that.
LaDonna asked if the new machine will be a split from Baby Lock. No, like I think Baby Lock is getting a version of the machine as well. The split is in the entire My Connection Art Spira universe.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
it's just
And there'll be some designs that'll be different, but other than that, all the functionality will be exactly the same.
Yeah.
Is what normally happens. That's just what normally happens. Yes. I forget.
Stephanie,
steps in
drop
my
us an
queue.
email about that one, and I can give you a price on the 9.5 by 9.5 normal hoop.
Yeah, and we're also gonna, like, we did do the 20% off sale. Or you know, our extra discount, what we do off of our amazing prices already. I think we're gonna have another one of those coming up this summer, right at the end of the summer.
Generally, we see that sale again, but what I would say is we also, like, I've got all this stuff
I don't
behind
have
us to
any-
get through.
I don't have any more 9.5 by 9.5s at that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the
if you can wait, Stephanie, at the end of the summer we'll do that sale again. If not, you know, we'll give you an amazing price for that size hoop too. I should about that. Don't be sad about that. They're all great machines. I mean, there is just a, what do you call
Yeah,
it?
and that's like we've had a lot of those conversations. Like as that My Connection universe deepens, we've had a bunch of people reach out that are either our Solaris customers or other Solaris customers that have asked about trading on a Luminaire. And what I told people is wait, like
Unless you know for
unless
sure.
you knew for sure, like of those 6 Luminaires that we've sold in the last week, the Solarises that are coming in for trade are those people that are like, I don't want the new machine.
Yeah.
I just want the connection. But it's super hard to structure a deal that's exciting for you trading a like machine on a like machine. And we'll have great deals for anybody with our event and stuff like that. Have you had that conversation yet?
And you know, if that whole, like, if you just get on there and you want to sew and you want to do built-in designs and you want to just stitch out whatever you bring in via USB, and then I wouldn't worry about it and get whichever machine. But if you feel like you might at some point want to partake in everything, that whole, you know, My
See,
Connection.
you think about that a little differently than I do.
But there are some people that don't, that, you know, that they just want to.
You don't know what you don't know.
Okay, you don't know what
You don't know what you don't know. And so, and once again, like I was like, we were a Baby Lock dealer for a really long time. And I love the baby lock machines, and people ask all the time, what are the differences? Is one better than the other? Is this better than that? Is this? And the reality is the machines are the same, but the My Connection universe is like the next step in an industry progression, and that only exists in the brother machines. And so when I look at that stuff, like Jeannie goes, well, if you know for sure you're never going to do that, I can't tell you how many times like Jeannie or a customer has said, I'm never going to do this. And then 6 months, 12 months, 8 months, 14, 24 months later, they then see an aspect of that strikes them as interesting. So, you know, there are lots of reasons to buy different brands. And listen, if you're in an area where you feel like you're better supported by Baby Lock, by all means, buy the Baby Lock. But I think that the industry too is going in a direction where distant support is possible. Like I had a conversation yesterday with a gal who bought her machine from Moore's, and she flat out was like, I just have had no support. I didn't really get the training I needed. I didn't really get this. And after getting off the phone with her, she's going to do her training with us. And you know, that's one of those things where, you know, by all means, never feel bad about the machine you have. Never feel bad about the machine you feel like where you're going to get the best support. But I just look at it and I go, if those two options are in front of you, why wouldn't you buy the machine that allows for the upgrade? Like, you don't know what you don't know. And 24 months from now, maybe there's a project where you're looking at something like this going like, hey, there's, you know, I'm interested in cutting that out on the scan and cut. Well, why wouldn't you have the machine that talks to the scan and cut? That's just kind of how I look at it.
Any financing on new?
So there will be financing options. Let's see. Hang on. I'm just making sure we didn't miss anybody. Any financing on new. So, yeah, and we know Joanne super well. So here's the deal. Sounds like a local dealer in Sac area. So, any financing on machines. So, back in the day, like we're just talking like 3+ years ago, financing deals, 0% financing deals. You guys have heard me say this ever since we've started the live stream. They are 0% financing is 0% financing for the consumer. It is not for the dealer. Somebody is always paying a processing fee or some type of financing. Back in the day, just several years ago, 3-4 years ago, our processing fees were such, and when Brother or Baby Lock or our manufacturers sponsored those financing deals, maybe we'd be looking at like a 5 to 6% processing fee. That's not too different from what we experience with credit card charges, right? Like credit cards cost us 2.5 to 3.5%, depending upon credit cards and everything else. My processing fees for my credit cards haven't changed. My processing fees for same as cash or synchrony financing, like 60 and 72 months financing rates, are up at like 20 to 23%. So they are very different than my credit card processing fees. So what I always say about that is I will always give you kind of the rock bottom price. And then if we look at financing, we're going to look at those processing fees. And so, you know, I'm fully prepared to essentially eat the processing fee that I normally eat on like a credit card. But if we look at those longer term financing rates, then there will be a processing fee to your financing. The process is completely transparent. Like, I show you the fees, I show you what we're doing, I show you how it works. And so, yes, there will be financing options available, but the reality is there's going to be a difference between the non-financed and the financed price. And that's simply because the processing fees have gone up so high. And last but not least about that, so when people hear things like 20%, they tend to freak out and they go, that's a lot. A one-time 20% processing fee, if amortized over 6 years or 5 years, is only like 5 point some odd percent. It's less than you're paying on a mortgage today. So those processing fees, while it sounds like a lot, and it can be confusing, it's actually not when you look at the fact that you're financing something over that period of time.
So I didn't know that. I thought it meant like 20% off of the entire cost.
No, it's a one-time processing fee.
Got it.
And so...
Do you hear my stomach?
I don't.
So hungry.
But I do now. This is a very long-winded response about financing, but financing has become one of those things. Like, we used to finance, what do you think, 85, 90% of our transactions? Right now, we're financing 5% of our transactions.
Well, I think that's important that you explain that, because I was thinking, okay, if the machines, let's say it's $10,000, which it's not going to be. Then 20% would be
$2,000.
Yes. So is it still?
So that's what people need to understand. Like, that's what people need to understand is 9 years ago when we were financing all the machines, every single one of those machines that we financed, we paid for you to have 0% financing.
Yes.
When it really wasn't costing us that much, it was somewhat immaterial. And while it was factored into the cost that you spent on the machine, the amount was low enough that most of you didn't even realize it was happening. Over the last 3.5, 4 years, we've watched those, and they're continuing to go up. We've watched those fees go up. Like, I had a conversation with our rep from Synchrony, and she's like, financing rates are down. And I'm like, yeah, so are mortgages. Like, you guys have quadrupled the amount you're charging for financing. And so it's become a material charge. And so a lot of customers are foregoing financing.
It used to be what?
Nominal.
2%, 3%.
Well, like the way that sponsored financing work, because most people would come in and go, well, what deal is there? And you go, well, we've got a sponsored financing rate from Brother, and Brother's splitting that fee with us. And so, like, if financing was 10%, Brother's splitting half of it with us, we were both eating 5% of that fee. My credit card transactions, 3%. Difference between 3% and 5% is not very high. Difference between 3% and 20% is very high. And so one of the things I talked about is, like, one of the things we're seeing from Brother, because Brother's experimenting to see if they can create more interest in financing, is you're starting to see those and Maddie's mom made a very interesting point. Like I said, when you look at those processing fees and what I'll literally call it a financing fee. I try to be incredibly transparent about it. When you amortize that over the term of the loan, it ends up being less than 5%. And quite frankly, you can't get any money for less than 5% right now. So it's still a very good deal. It's just very different than the 0% financing that we have trained you to become accustomed to.
Yeah, and if you if you have more questions, you can talk to Patrick about it, because he handles all the finances. I don't do anything. I haven't done taxes since we got married. That's why I gotta go first.
I always joke with Jeannie that she lacks perspective.
Well, we don't have to talk about that. But
Well, but it's directly related to this, right?
and I
Like,
used to do all the bills.
right.
I used to pay all the bills and do all of that, and now like Patrick could have like a second family somewhere that he's supporting, and I would never know. But I know because he doesn't have the time.
I don't have time. Who has? I hear about that stuff, and I'm like, how did he have time? He wasn't going to the gym. He wasn't riding mountain bikes. I'd rather ride a mountain bike than a second lady, I guess. So, all right. So let me just answer a couple of quick
about
questions
Annetta?
here. So somebody asked, why does Brother continue bringing out a new machine and discontinue the models that just came out? So the models didn't just come out. The models came out 6 years ago. And that may seem like the blink of an eye to you, but that is eternity as it pertains to technology. So if you look, for example, at the Quattro or the Elissimo, which like that machine was out for a long time. Part of the reason that those that particular machine was out for a long time was some of those upgrades involved hardware that could be added to the machine. So what happens sometimes is you see technology change, and the only way to bring that technology into the world is by creating a new platform. And so that's what you see. And the reality is it creates FOMO, it creates buying opportunity. So there's marketing involved and everything else. But, you know, it's just you see new technology that didn't exist, and they create a new platform to harness that new technology. Quite frankly, I would say right now, without any hesitation, the Brother built machines are the most technologically advanced.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're seeing technology in those machines that don't exist anywhere else.
So we should get going. We've got things to do. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
Have a great day. Be creative and make something incredible. We'll be back here tomorrow. Get signed up for this class. It's going to be a ton of fun. Again, that's going to be IQ Designer Design Center. So any machine that has that feature, you're going to be able to do this. And if you don't have that, Michelle is going to be doing something with this in software later on. So you could create the design and then send it to any machine with software, any size, any machine, wherever you want it. And then I'm gonna do scan and cut on that quilting through the seasons, and there's gonna be other stuff coming